All right, we're live, ladies and gentlemen. Aha! The 5th day of January, 2021, 2021 years since some ruler dude said it was time to change the calendar. I think his name was Anno Domini. I think he's the one that did it, that guy Anno Domini. Anyway, welcome to the show, folks. This is the imho.love show. In my humble opinion, .love. Almost everything you hear is some sort of opinion, and this show is no different.
Except we're epistemologically naive.
We are epistemologically naive, damn it.
So, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's either that or our opinion. So you're stuck with our opinion.
Opinion, and we try to make it a gentle one or an understandable one. And thank you everybody for tuning in. Like I said, it's Wednesday, January 5th. I'm Lou Angelwolf. This is Mike Murburg. We're coming up on I don't know, show 150 or something like that, and of the IMHO series. And prior to that, Mike and I did Lutopia. And all this stuff is on my YouTube channel and other stuff. So if you're interested about what I talk about, whatever. You're welcome to dig in there. So I hope everybody had a lovely New Year celebration. Part of the show here is it's imho.love, which is CE5, AHA, and HaHa. So a little comedy, a little discovery, and of course the CE5, which is commonly known as, or HICE, which is actually more accurate, human-initiated contact experiences, or human-initiated close encounters. So we're coming up on 5 years of meeting out here at the Darby Ranch.
Yes.
We've seen hundreds of crafts.
Hundreds and hundreds of crafts. Hundreds and hundreds. And walking things and shadows and beings and...
Oh, yeah, there's somebody had a vision last Saturday night.
Somebody saw it. So I think it was a materialization of its second of two-dimensional in a light form.
Okay.
Yeah, so interesting stuff.
Now, for those of you, we did a CE5 on January 1st. Couldn't have been a more beautiful night. The sky was just absolutely perfect. We had a lovely group, a little bit smaller group this time. We only had 21, but they were 21 of the right people. The spirit was sweet, and the energy was mellow and good. And we probably had 5 or 6 sightings. And tell me more about who sent you that video. I was in the middle of moving stuff, so I didn't actually take time to stand and watch it. Didn't you send me one that somebody over the weekend at this thing while he was meditating? Yeah.
I'm not at liberty to divulge who it was, but
okay.
yeah.
What'd they see?
They saw an energy form that took human form, and then appeared to them, and then disappeared back into the shadows, and then drifted away at about 10 feet. But it was a human form.
This was during the campfire?
During the third meditation.
Okay.
And it seemed to the person who saw it to be watching the meditation while it was going on.
It was a beautiful meditation.
Yeah, it was.
Our friend Sahara did that.
Yes. And,
Sahara Love. She has the same last name as us.
Yeah. In my humble opinion. But yeah. That was a great meditation, and it reminded me of the shadow people, the two-dimensionals that we see around here from time to time.
They're here, man. Yeah. He ducked behind the tree again the other night.
Yeah.
That's what he does. He's the shadow guy between the studio and the house. What's that, about 30 yards?
Studio in the house is probably 50.
50 yards. Okay. As you're walking along, you'll see a shadow approaching you on the side, but by the time you look, it ducks behind something. And this is
and you can see it duck too. It's
yeah,
like
you can see it duck. It's like it goes just slow enough so you see it duck.
Yeah.
So that happened the other night, and it was like, and every time it happens, Mike, I know it's probably a friendly ghost, but it's still, I get chicken skin all over the place, man. I get chicken skin like crazy.
Yeah.
That's because it really is something that's not here.
It's an intelligent form of some sort of life.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. It's not malicious or malevolent, so it's just
mysterious.
Yeah, it is mysterious.
Ultra mysterious.
Yeah, it is.
Well, when you start seeing things that aren't from your dimension.
Well, yeah, I'm going to name him Chauncey because he likes to watch. I like to watch.
Chauncey. I like to watch, Eve. Very nice. Good call, Chauncey. That's I use him as an avatar on certain accounts. But anyway, wow. So this place, man, this Darby Ranch is really amazing. It's where we do the show, and it's where we have the CE5s, and we really had a lovely, lovely group of folks, and it was a great way to start the year. We had some really good laughter. It was quite good. And speaking of that, just as an aside, on February 9th, I get to open for Jim Brewer over at the Side Splitters there in Tampa.
Back in the big time again.
Back in the big time again. You never know. I try getting out, but they pull me back in.
That's right.
But, folks, tonight's show, enough of our upfront banter.
It's like old comedians never die. They just use old jokes.
Write new jokes or steal old jokes or rework old jokes. The theme of the show tonight is the Wu Wei or Wu Wei. I guess you can say it either way. And in the study of the Tao, that is the acceptance of nothingness.
No, it's intentional non-doing.
Intentional non-doing.
So the quick of it is when in doubt, do nothing.
When in doubt, do nothing.
Yes, you do nothing until you can figure out which way the wind is blowing, which way the Tao is flowing.
Right.
And then when that becomes apparent, then you go in that direction, then it's time to act. But the time to act has got to be exactly right. And if it's not exactly right, you're better off just doing nothing. And it's, for example, like this. It's like you finish painting something.
Okay.
Okay? You let it dry.
Yes.
That's Wu Wei.
Okay.
So you let the paint dry.
Right.
Okay? If you plant your crops, you leave them alone. It's Wu Wei. You let the plants grow. Okay? There's nothing you can do to make the plant grow faster.
Right. Not according to Monsanto.
Not according. Well, you know.
I know. Go ahead.
But that's wrong. wrong.
On so many levels.
Yeah, but that's the thing in life. If you don't know what to do, don't do anything and let the opportunity change. The Tao will fashion your environment around you so that the opportunities arise when they need to arise. You just can't screw it all up by acting prematurely and based on ego. What happens is this:
Sure.
you sit down in a way. And if you're still, ego based, you're going to want to do something. You're going to want to create the flow when you should be waiting for it.
Yes, I'm guilty of that, Mike.
We all are. That's why we get to be old and we start understanding this stuff. It's like I wish I'd known this at 20. It would have made a lot of difference.
Oh, and it's such vital and simple understanding, and for people that are like a little allergic of like church settings and that kind of thing, it's the perfect sense of living with a higher power or a life force, and it perfectly accepts you as you are. You don't have to change. You don't have to join any clubs. There's no dues. And you are your own pastor, teacher, preacher. You literally,
you're your own Godhead.
You are your own God.
You're part and parcel of the Tao. You become it. It becomes you. It's all the same. And the ego is the only thing that separates you from that.
That damn ego.
Yeah.
Edging God out, they used to say.
Right. Exit God out. Yeah. Saying either way. Yeah. Yeah. As opposed to eating God out. That'd be a whole other story.
That's a DV. I don't have a DVR player anymore. But in that, and she is a girl, by the way.
I know, yeah. The Tao is the female. Who else births things?
It's all feminine.
It creates things. It puts things in existence. Men don't do that. We construct things, but we don't birth things into existence.
Right,
That's the difference.
We put our wieners in things.
We place the order.
And really, Gaia, the Earth Mother, the goddess, however you want to put it, it really does make sense that it would be ruled by the feminine.
Yeah, but they named it Gaia.
Well, I think Guy came along later.
Damn, right? how hypocritical.
Well, it's all confusing.
Yeah, well, and that's an enigma wrapped in a mystery.
Sure. So, but that art of, I phrase it, the art of understanding nothing, 101. It's like, I do it myself. It's like, I get into a business situation, a personal situation, some sort of interaction with people, and because I've been doing this so long, I cling to my familiar procedures, and I want to see a result that I'm comfortable with. Well, what happens in the middle of all these exchanges, you become unwired to the situation, and now you're left. It didn't go the way you thought it was going to go. Now there's curveballs and blockages and obstructions and obstacles that aren't in your preconceived mindset. So now the Wu-wei or the Wu-wei would tell you to do nothing and sit and let it settle, like the Italians say, let it grow whiskers. And that is the correct thing to do. But what happens is we're always trying to grab the controls out of somebody's hands. We're always trying to make it go the way we want. And it hardly ever works out for me. I mean, unless it's just such a simplistic situation that the people aren't seeing at all, and they're looking for any kind of guidance. I can provide any kind, but I don't know if it's the right kind.
Well, another example of it is if you've got to get someplace and you're running late, okay? Instead of rushing, take your time, because by the time you get there, you're going to find out that, everybody important at this meeting was also running late because of unforeseen circumstances, and you still end up arriving there first.
Right.
So rather than putting yourself through all the aggravation of, oh my God, you just go with the flow and realize that everything's going to be all right. Just pay attention to the God around you, and everything is going to be just the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Running late is, I'm hardly ever late, but I'm also hardly ever early. I'm always like, if I say, hey, I'll meet you there at 12:30 to 12:45, I'll pull in around 12:44. I fulfilled the obligation that I made. I wasn't in violation of our understanding. But I do find, and I think what it is too, is the world, if you let the world slow you down just enough to understand, it really responds quite well to that. As I mean, there literally are dozens and dozens of times I've traveled very far by car, truck, van, camper, whatever, over the years, motorcycle. And every time that I thought I should really, really hurry up, and I wished I wasn't in this traffic jam, or I wish I knew an alternate route. By the time you get up to what it was that was slowing you down was a crash that, had you been in the hurry, you could have been in that crash.
Right.
So I do believe, the understanding would be to travel safely and complete these tasks and ideas with a kind heart, with a moving forward spirit.
Right, with the deliberate speed of a Winnebago.
Yeah, I've been there. But I remember I bought this Winnebago one time up in Georgia, and it was a 454 Chevy.
Ooh.
And it was a 30-footer. It was a 454 Chevy, and it was
Pop wheelies.
It was heavy, man. It was on a Chevy C30 chassis. No, it was a Winnie. It was a Winnie, so I think that probably was a Gillig chassis. But really a big, heavy truck. And this camper, got 6 miles to the gallon, period, paragraph. Whether you drove like there was a rotten egg under the gas pedal or whether you matted it, it didn't matter. It got 6 miles to the gallon. And it was one of those times where gas prices were high.
Yeah.
And it was just eating my ass every time every 6 miles, I think gas was over $3 a gallon.
Yeah. Wow.
It's like wadding up $3 and throwing it out the window.
50 cents a mile.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think gas from Georgia back to here was well over $300. I think I can't even remember. It was horrible.
Yeah, it makes it cost effective to drive a Camry and spend the night in a motel.
Dude, I was in the RV business for many years, and you meet really lovely people. Campers are generally the salt of the earth, good folks. But really, for what they spend on those coaches, you can drive a Lincoln Navigator or a Cadillac Escalade or a Chevy Suburban or a GMC Denali XL, whatever, and stay in a Hampton Inn or something nicer.
Yeah, you can go into a shower that doesn't smell like piss. And you can come out of it without having athlete's foot.
Right. Well, in your own camper, though, hopefully you keep it a little nicer than that.
Right.
But you can't bring your dogs, and you can't make sandwiches, and But so I get it. But for whatever you save, the dog thing is the big thing.
Once again, it's the whole cruelty to animals.
Yeah, people love taking their dogs camping.
Yeah, and living in apartments with them and all that kind of stuff. All the kind of things that if you were a dog, you'd be saying, "Please don't take me there."
Right. Right. Well, yes, in an ideal dog setting, yes. But if the dog was lonely or up for adoption, it would love to live anywhere.
Yeah, but how many dogs that are that way? That's the exception, not the rule.
But anyhow, so in all these circumstances that come up against us, instead of us trying to control the situation, put our little meat hooks on it and try to steer it our way, it is wiser to let go of it for a while and see where it goes, because your control, the control forces that you're trying to put into a situation, could actually be the restricting factor of something even better that's trying to happen. But you got your meat hooks all over it, and you can't let it grow or move or undulate or whatever it's trying to do, because it's under your control. So if you apply the Wu Wei and you go, okay, I'm at an impasse here, I don't know what to do, I'm going to trust the universe and all the energy that I've brought forth up to now to sort this out for me. And son of a bitch, if it don't work.
Yeah.
It really, really does.
There you go.
Mike has been teaching me for many years about the Tao and the Wu Wei. A student I first listened with half an ear, then 3/4 of an ear, and now I fully hear it because, like most stubborn people, I got the results. I got the results of really, really letting go and really letting the situation sort itself out.
Yeah.
And it was funny to watch other people in the exchange try to control things their way.
Well, that's what materialists do.
Yeah.
See, this big step for you, and I watch you become a really good student.
Thank you.
And a good teacher. The big step is stepping out of materialism and into consciousness or spirituality. It's a complete paradigm shift.
Yep.
Once you realize that that you just have to leave the whole material world and leave it and leave it behind as a concept,
Yes.
not as a reality.
Yes.
And then you move into this new reality where consciousness is part and parcel of the orchestration of a reality around you that you actually help build and create. And it's not bullshit. It's
Right.
real. And accepting that you can and do that is the most difficult thing for materialists to do. And we were all raised materialists. I mean, unless you were like Max Planck 100 years ago thinking, oh, this is all crazy to be a materialist. This is all quantum, you know. But
Max
eventually,
Planck.
eventually we're all moving there.
Planck. Look him up, man.
Eventually, we're all moving there, you know.
Yep.
So everybody is. I mean, you know, get on the truck, Granny.
Isn't it? Isn't it funny though, as we weigh these political systems that are, you know, these jackbooted thugs and these people pushing their thumbs into our foreheads. The reality of it is, with a good central consciousness, okay, you would want to live in a communistic type of world. You would want the communal sharing. You would want the shared responsibility of all. But from what I can see, what happens is the old regime that stepped down, they remask themselves and come out as the new defining the last word. So really things only change a little bit. But to me, I used to say the best system to live under would be a benevolent monarchy. Because if it was a benevolent monarchy, you would know who in groups controlled, and their benevolence, okay, would prove to be the right side of the emotion. But consequently, within that benevolent monarchy, you would also have your personal freedom, because you are the one that is ultimately in charge of you. There's no, I mean, people have suffered under the hands of, real bastards.
Well, what Lauser would say or would teach on that is that we all have our own responsibility to the Tao and to each other.
Okay.
To act in such a way that there is no separation.
Right.
So once we accept that as a dialectical reality, then we don't need leaders, kings, anybody, because we are our own superior masters and beings.
Yes.
And then we all move in that direction. And when society accepts that as the example of what or how human beings are supposed to act, that takes us out of dialectical materialism into a new dialectic of spirituality.
Okay.
So that's what we're working on. That's the spiritual evolution of mankind and its eventual refinement. And once we get that, now Jordan Peterson talks about that a lot, not in those terms though, but he speaks to it as personal responsibility. He says, yeah, there's a God and all that without getting into God, but your responsibility is to take on your path in life is to take on as much responsibility as possible and do good with it.
Yes.
And he's right on point there. He comes from a very religious, a Christian background and doctrine, but it's still the same. These ultimate truths are still the same, and they permeate through all faiths. And he's hitting the chord with that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, see, like I said, I used to say benevolent monarchy.
Yeah.
But now, looking at as much life as I have and the blessings that I've had all these days and decades, is I really do believe the mass confusion is so great, it's going to take a universal change in consciousness that is brought to us and brought upon us to almost eliminate the second guessing of it.
Well, once you realize that you're an infinite spirit and you're in this for the eternity of time, okay, you're going to leave this earth, okay, and you're going to be back to a non-embodied spirit and energy again, and you're going to be crossing the universes and through the dimensions and through the densities of light and understanding, through things that we can't even know exist at this level of understanding as human beings. And who's going to be responsible for you?
Right? You?
Yeah.
That's it.
You're out there a billion generations from here on out, and you're, cruising the universe. Who's going to be responsible? It's you, and it's always been you, and it's always going to be you, and that's what you got to learn in this lifetime. Because if you don't, then you get to repeat it again and again and again and again and suffer through this misery until you do get it. And then you become one of the free wanderers, the creating non-creators of, that's what, as Lao Tzu would put it, of the universe.
The free what?
The creating non-creators, the free
Creating
travelers.
non-creators.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's your key to freedom and salvation.
So kind of like worker bees?
No, it's just like worker bees that don't need to have a job.
Okay.
You get to buy your freedom. You get to earn your freedom by recognizing that you've been free all the time, and you're the one that's ultimately responsible for your own activities.
Okay.
And your own spirit, your own soul. The soul is eternal. So, however you mark it or clean it up is what we're doing here.
Right. And like we discussed a couple of months ago on the show, I can't remember which title it was. You make the mistakes over and over again until you get them right.
Right.
So, and nobody blames you for whatever speed or whatever level of commitment you take to learning your lessons. Okay. You're doing that all of your own volition and all with your own time. So, but where a lot of things, and it's funny how deception goes, like within the Christian faith, which I know a fair amount about, they want you to believe once you have received Christ as your Savior and the gift of the Holy Spirit and all these other things, that your slate is washed clean, you're good to go, you can sit next to the throne of God. They've made you all these incredible promises for joining their club. And there is, I don't mean to minimize it like that. I have had a sincere and severe spiritual awakening where I did feel a complete transformation in my body. I was blessed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. I can speak in tongues. I can do all that stuff that they said is part of that gift. And I have been given the gift of healing as well. So I'm already awed, and I already know that my life has been a complete success. Looking forward to even more things that are coming my way. I don't know exactly what they are, and right now I'm in the wu-wei stage of letting it happen.
Right.
It's coming. It can't do anything else. Okay? But where people get I think where people get confused or lazy or misinformed is you have to understand, if you didn't get it right this loop, and you are this eternal spirit, and if you make another lap back here, you may have the same issues over and over again. And I can tell you, Suzette did a past life regression, speaking to my subconscious session with me a couple of months ago, and it reveals what's in your spine. Your spine carries all your DNA for Lord knows how many generations back. However, I don't know. But somebody said 21 just to stay with the numeric flow. But when I found out, or in my subconscious, identified with possible past lives that I've had, I certainly see tenets within myself now, but I also see where I have either learned a lesson or I'm in the process of learning it right now. So there are no coincidences, like we say all the time. And the more you work on your life here, the less you'll have to do on your next lap, and you may even get to enter another dimension because you did really good.
Well, let me interject here. And your motivation should not be because you're going to be getting something from it.
Right?
Okay, your motivation should be self-actualization. It should be the perfection of the self for no other reason other than to perfect what God has created.
Okay.
Okay, and whatever comes to you as a consequence of that is what comes to you as a consequence of that. Because if you do something quid pro quo, you lessen its value. You treat it as
you make it common.
Yeah, you defile it. Yes.
Yeah.
So you can think, oh yeah, that's a good way to start. Well, it'll get me someplace that I need to get to. But then you have to look for the deeper meaning. Is that no? That's the bait that gets you online. You just have to follow the line without holding on to it, and realize that that's where you have to go because you have to go there.
Right.
For no other reason.
Right. Right. That's true. And the other thing about it is once you start sorting out your issues and you start learning your lessons and you start making deep personal notes about your lessons, your life is a joy. You don't struggle, you don't grieve, everybody has a bad day every once in a while, but if you're really walking under this incredible promise of love and life, you may get sidetracked for a day or so or a week or a month or whatever, but you can snap right back and you'll come back bigger and stronger because the lessons will have registered.
Right.
And as we learn these lessons moving forward, I'll just use an odd example. I don't buy timeshare properties. They're not a good deal. And so I learned that already. So every time someone comes up to me and offers me timeshare, I say, no.
That's right.
So
you can keep your free weekend and your chicken salad.
Yeah. So I don't, you know what I mean? I learned I've seen it happen too much. I actually worked in that industry for a very short time, and it was creepy. But, so in that lesson learning, you go, oh, okay, well, the fact that I don't do that at all makes my life go easier. There'll be less stress, there'll be less issues, less things. So that stuff kind of builds up, and you walk straighter, and you walk stronger, and your eyes are sharper, and your wit is keener, and your ability to rationalize situations that you enter into, it's of an upgraded level. I mean, you can surmise and understand and work things out from the sidelines. You don't have to go in and necessarily get all bloody and ripped up anymore because you've already done this a few times. So these lessons learned are really beautiful. They really, really are. There's something that if you could reach around and really pat yourself on the back. I think if you do yoga, you can eventually. You pat yourself on the back and go, wow, I really got through that. I really don't have to torment myself with that anymore because you learned that lesson. So you get a good warehouse of those kind of emotions built up inside of you. You have the ability to do many, many more things because all that stuff has been settled inside of you. And it really is something that only you can do. There's people that come into your life to help you. There's books you can read. There's people you can talk to. There's podcasts you can tune into.
There's people you can help.
And yes, exactly. There's things that you can do, but there's also people that you will be assisting because you're on the journey. And there's always somebody either a step or two behind you or alongside of you that can really, benefit from learning more. So that being said, that's the woo-wee. What's the definition? It's so precise.
To intentionally do nothing.
To intentionally do nothing. I like it a lot.
I'm going to do nothing until you clean up your room here. I bet that room gets clean.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
See, parents know this instinctively, but they don't apply it to more than one or two situations. So.
Right, it doesn't get done right.
All right.
Well, and I'm sympathetic and empathetic because I feel the vibes of people. But I'm very sympathetic to everybody on this journey trying to figure this thing out right now during this 2021 transition thing, this geopolitical energy shift. And there was a guy, I'm quoting a guy named Daniel Alexander. I've never read him before, but he had a very nice, succinct quote about what all of us are dealing with right now. He says, there are two diametrically opposed perceptions of reality existing in the same place. Mm-hmm. One is primarily influenced by media, government, and pharmaceutical propaganda. Mm-hmm. The other is primarily influenced by logic, lived experiences, observations, and intuition. Mm-hmm. So each of us are identifying with both sides of this information dispensation. But when you realize, if you look at everything as a frequency, which is a talent, and I haven't perfected it yet for sure, but I do have a concept, those lower, harried, coarse vibrations are low. They're not pleasant.
Yeah, just go on to death row or into maximum security prison if you want to feel what really low energy is like, or really, and it tells us, once you understand life and existence is in terms of energy. Same thing with Tesla, energy and vibration, but it, you have to see it as such.
Right.
And when you see it as such, everything becomes very, very clear.
Right. But what a lot of people are dealing with, and it's funny that we're talking about this on the internet, is all this information is coming at you, and it's very confusing, and you get thrown off track as you're trying to find your way through. But the one thing that, if you can keep this in the back of your mind, is that all of this politico, all of this is of a very low frequency. This really is cannon fodder for television. There's not enough, and that's why I think they came up with the word reality television, just to sell it to us in a soft way.
It's anything but reality.
It's not reality, and it's a very low, harsh, unenjoyable vibration. That's why you always see people with their fingers up and their jaws tense and their eyes squinting and accusatory tones and this and that and the other thing and that bullshit apologetic weaseling that they do. When you realize how low that vibration is and how non-productive that vibration is, if you can just boost yourself up a little bit above that, okay, and as you start to ascend up your vibrational slide, okay, you're going to, when you spend more time in your finer, higher vibrational levels, all that stuff will seem so foreign to you and so unenjoyable to you. And then you go, oh, well, what are you going to do, Lou? Just ignore the whole world?
Yeah. Find your spiritual self. It's not going to want to watch CNN.
Right.
You know, it's not going to watch Fox or anything else, and anywhere else where they're sowing discord for the purpose of selling you pharmaceuticals.
Right, exactly. And what's beautiful is once you start this ascension to your spiritual completeness, or more completeness, you realize how beautiful other things in the world are, and really how horrible television and newscasts and all these things are, because they all deal with the lowest vibrations of humanity.
Yeah.
Ego, pain, conceit, lies, cheating, stealing, graft. That's what that whole machine churns out.
Yeah.
So those of us who are sympathetic, empathetic, reasonable folks, we get fatigued by that. And, you know, and they know that. They've known this for many, many years. I think it was one of the Roman emperors said, at the end of every society, the people said, make us your slaves, but feed us. And what it is, they just get tired of the struggle. And there's no easier way to present struggle right now than through your phone, through your computer. You know, just the images, you know. And during that Ghislaine Maxwell trial, which they found her guilty on 5 to 6 counts, but it's a kangaroo court. She's, you know, all the wrong people are in all the wrong places.
Interesting enough, there's one of the jurors spoke, and one of the jurors had been molested, and what the juror ended up doing was telling the other jurors, you know, why they should believe the victims in the case, because through that person's own experience, this is what really happens, and this is how you really. So it was a great example of having a jury of your peers, and having a jury of the peers of victims as well. I mean, the fact that person was on the jury was a godsend and a miracle. Otherwise, this person would have walked. So it took another victim, a true victim, on the jury to convict this person because it's so difficult to believe that these things happen because they're so far out of the reach of normal society.
It's so hideous.
It is. I used to prosecute the child abuse in this county, and it's amazing what people think to do with children. It just boggles the mind. And you wouldn't believe it if somebody told it to you. And thank God there are confessions.
Yes.
You know, because otherwise the whole thing would be incredible. I mean, you know, to do the things that they do with children.
There's
absolutely crazy.
There's something awry. That's a light word. In the adult brain that can produce that kind of abuse. And generally it's an old haunt from their personal abuse.
Yeah, it is. It keeps on. It's like the bite of the werewolf. It keeps on running through society, and it's just got to stop someplace. People act out this stuff, and it's just, you know, evil propagating evil, just, you know.
But what I believe we're seeing, especially with this Maxwell case, it really brought that ugliness, not to full front center, but I have enough internet friends. They sent me some really horrible pictures of rescued children, and I couldn't. There was like 10 of them in a file. I think I made it to the second one. I just couldn't see the rest of them. And that is the one thing. This is a good way to tie it up here. That is the one thing that to me is inexcusable, is when you destroy innocence. When you, with your conniving, horrible ways, the only thing you're strong over is innocence that has no malice. And you, in your twisted little pumpkin, think that you had some sort of victory or there was something worthwhile in your time. But now these people they're very ill. But what I was saying before, so if you clean up all these things in your life, you learn all these lessons, you move forward with the lessons learned, you're more enlightened every moment of every day. You value your friendships, you value love, you value truth, you value honesty, you value understanding. And see, if you're that lit, if you're that awake, okay, that type of activity where you're abusing children doesn't even come on your radar.
No, and if you've been abused, you have to learn how to forgive and move on.
Yeah.
And that's the only way you're going to conquer that demon.
Yeah, and that's true. You do have to forgive and you do have to move on. And a way I've been sharing that moving on part for a lot of people, I hope you understand. Scientifically and biologically, you're not even the same person that suffered those abuses. Your mind and your psyche cling to all of those facts and memories and flashes and ideas.
Yeah, and the weird part about it is people keep on finding, this happens a lot with abused sons. They find, who've been abused by their mothers, they find other women who are abusive because they're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And they keep on replicating this destructive behavior. Same thing with women who've been abused, by their fathers, because it's the opposite sex parent that influences most your self-esteem. And
so it's the opposite sex parent that influences your self-esteem the most.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And you have these women who have been abused by their fathers, whether in any kind of way, and they continue to search out the abusing males, and they keep on going one after another. This is a serial thing that goes throughout their lives until they get therapy, and then they start realizing that, hey, wait a minute, this is not making me happy. It's not good for me. Let me try something else. Let me, find somebody healthy for me for a change. And it's so difficult for them to do because they don't realize they're propagating their own victimhood. And it is true victimhood.
Right. Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, to swing the camera around by me, my mother, who apparently in this equation is where I get the root of my self-esteem. Is that what it is?
Yes, exactly.
My mother is a very humble, unassuming person, but consequently, I've chosen a life of, public speaking, and I'm out there, man. I'm not hard to find. But I see where you're absolutely right, because I can be Lou Angelwolf. I can go do a show for thousands of people. Everybody laughs. Everything's great. We're all hanging out, whatever. Everything's good. I can do this show, that show. I can write this. I can write that. But when it really comes down to it, when all the dust settles, I do turn back into my mom. My mom's like this humble, little, gentle creature. And this is going to sound corny, but I've always, I heard the term spirit animal a few years ago. And when I thought of my mother and I thought of the term spirit animal, I literally think of my mother as like a little fawn drinking out of a brook. She really does have that level of innocence. I don't think, she's repeated a nasty rumor or two. Don't get me wrong, she's not a complete angel. But I really don't think she enters into anything with malice or...
Yeah. So we should write your book, You're Searching for Bambi.
Searching for Bambi. My inner Bambi.
She's on the next set.
My inner Bambi. Oh, my God. Oh, Mike, look how the time has
Yeah, we're coming down to the wire here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the imho.love show. In my humble opinion.love, the art of doing nothing, the art of not understanding anything.
Oh, before we leave, we had a painted bunting out here for the first time ever. It's like I'd never seen a painted bunting.
It's a little bird, like a...
Yeah, it's amazing, colorful.
It's in the cardinal family?
What's that?
It's in the cardinal
family. It's got like green, translucent green feathers. It's got a blue head. It's got a red body and black wings. And the thing was absolutely... I'd never seen one before. I had to check around, and a very astute friend of mine...
It was here at the ranch.
Here at the ranch, and we used to have, when I used to have the loquat trees here, they'll be back coming up soon.
Oh, good.
We used to have South American orioles come through here. They were very, very orange and slight, very much smaller than the Baltimore orioles as they migrate through here. But the thing is that instead of coming and running inside to watch CNN or something, I saw a colored bunting, and I took pictures of it, and it was that was a great.
That was
experience.
a nice shot.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you, if you make a place that's very peaceful and nature and other human beings and spirits are welcome, then they'll all come here.
Yeah,
they all show up one way or another. So
well, we had a beautiful group Saturday night, and the next CE5 or HICE meeting here at Darby Ranch is January 29th. That's correct, right?
Yeah, I think so.
January 29th. You must sign up on Meetup. You go to Tampa Bay CE5 Darby Ranch. Get all those words in there, and they'll point you right to us. And if it would be your first time, you need to download the protocols and read the protocols. And if you've been coming, we do need your head count. Because we had, and I know January 1st was just a hard day for a lot of people.
We were up against the Rose Bowl.
The Rose Bowl, wow,
so,
there you go.
There are some parties going on. So.
Yeah, that's true.
But
who was in the Rose Bowl? Who was in? We don't know.
I know Alabama, and I think Alabama and Georgia are playing in the final. So it was Utah and... I forget who won. Utah lost.
Yeah.
They say that you never remember the losers.
That's true. Funny. But, so, ladies and gentlemen, as you enter into this new year, your takeaway lines for this show is all that Politico, all that internet hubbub, all that cacophony of bullshit on television, all these liars. They're all liars. And, at least benders of the truth. It's a low, harsh, rocky, pointed vibration. It is not the place where you're going to find your harmony. You can find it through meditation, through understanding, through better music. What goes in gets swirled around and eventually comes out. What you see, what you take in, swirls around and eventually comes out. And all of this stuff runs through your heart before you dispense it in any particular way. So just my thing is, garbage in, garbage out. That's the old, if you're watching crappy stuff on TV, if you're talking about crappy things all day long, and if you're practicing a crappy profession or whatever it is, how you're robbing people or ripping people, whatever you're doing, and if you know the vibration is bad, just know you are creating that vibration, and nothing is going to change while you're in that vibratory range. It's impossible for it to. You have to isolate and power out. And because if you want to come back and do these lessons over and over again, that's fine. There's a certain beauty in that. But for the most part, as we ascend, and I totally believe you're supposed to be here right now. If you're watching this show, you're supposed to be here. And you signed up for it. Don't let it depress you. Don't let it bum you out. Try to find your reason for being here. It may be some beautiful words you can write. It may be some beautiful thing you can paint. It may be some wonderful help you can give somebody. It may be monetary. It may be time, whatever it is, whatever you can give of your heart and your soul, and you give it with innocence and you give it with love. So, as we watch all the people that have the ability to abuse the innocent, hopefully they get taken out of our loop and their energy dies down. But as we learn from that, just keep it out of your way. Don't sit there and dwell in it, man. You go down rabbit holes too deep. It's really hard digging yourself out sometimes. The last couple years I've been there a couple times. But now everything's all good. It's all sunshine and lollipops, ladies and gentlemen.
And colored buntings.
And painted buntings.
Painted buntings.
Painted buntings. Yes. We're attracting the painted buntings.
Who you calling a colored bunting? Painted buntings. And the closing words is, be cool because being cool is cool and for no other reason.
Say that again.
Be cool because being cool is cool and for no other reason.
That's true. That's true. But I found this in one of those eclectic vocabulary pages.
Oh, God.
Adronitis is the frustration of how long it takes to get to know someone.
Well, we were talking about that earlier. One of the greatest experiences you can have as a human being is getting to know another human being.
Right.
That's the ultimate exploration.
It is. It's beautiful.
I can see why some people stay married their entire lives for that reason.
Yeah.
You get people
the constant variety of sport.
Right. And with some people it's it's life. But I mean, if I were going to be an ET and come down to this planet, I would want to get to know as many people as much as possible, because how else would you understand what's going on in this world otherwise? Yes. And what it would be like, what it's like to be human.
Everyone you meet can teach you something, man.
Absolutely.
Adronitis, the frustration and how long it takes to get to know someone, and probably our worst case is yourself, your own personally imposed adronitis. Adronitis, adronitis, adronitis. Your own personal adronitis. How long is it going to take us to get to know ourselves?
It's not a good name for a kid.
No. Funny. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. We also put this on YouTube. And imho.love is the homepage. It shows up on Podbean. And it is also posted on BitChute. And it stays here on Facebook for 30 days or so. We're thinking about changing formats, and if anybody has any really great ideas for our show, we'd love to listen to you. We take the input. We do it very organically. There's no money involved. Maybe that's why the phone ain't ringing. But
that's because we don't have a phone.
We don't have a phone. That's true. We don't.
Gladys, get on the phone.
Any constructive criticism, and anybody that would be interested in on the production end of the show, as long as you're easy to get along with, we're all ears, so to speak, like Alfred E. Newman. We're all ears. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Mike is doing much better, by the way. Over the last couple of weeks, his operation went nice and smooth.
Yeah, the neck is getting back to normal. The shoulder is recuperating.
His neck is better.
And we're getting over the flu. So.
Yep. And when you see Mike go like this, it's not because I'm boring him to death, which does happen.
It's neck pain.
He's holding his neck up. Need a checkup from the neck up.
Because I don't want to wear the brace on the camera.
Oh, that's the eye patch was cool, though.
Well, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. There's Susan. There's Mark. And there's Judith. Hi, Judith. Sorry, I know I'm missing a bunch of people. There's 12 of you on here, but I can only see. Hey, Daniel Miller. Love you guys so much. And we'll see you next week. Today's the 5th, so at 7/12 on the January 12th. It's supposed to be a big rocking weekend politically.